Aloha! My name is Shelby Morrison, and I am the Programs and Communications Coordinator at ikahi Mediation Center. Welcome to our Finding Solutions Growing Peace Brown Bag Lunch series. Ikahi is a nonprofit community mediation center serving East Hawaii. We were founded in 1983 as a program of the island of Hawaii's YMCA, and in 2006, we became our own independent nonprofit. We empower people to come together, to talk and to listen, to explore options, and to find their own best solutions. To achieve this mission, we offer mediation, facilitation, and trainings just like this one to strengthen the ability of diverse individuals and groups to resolve interpersonal conflicts and community issues. Our Brown Bag Lunch series is held every third Thursday at 12 noon on Zoom. You do need to register on Eventbrite each time to receive the link. Next month, our next brown bag will be on November 20th, and our speaker will be Mr. Dennis Suarez, and his talk is titled "The Most Powerful Tool We Have is the Word." And you can go ahead and register for that on Eventbrite. The link is in the chat. Our next upcoming event will be tomorrow. This is our Kako Let's Work It Out workshop series. We hold this free workshop in honor of International Conflict Resolution Day, which is today. And this year, we're going to have Dr. Joe Hittner, who will be speaking on the Aloha spirit and how to have difficult conversations. It will be from 5 to 7 at the UH Hilo Campus Center, room 301. A reception with poo-poo begins at 4:30. Parking is free on campus after 4, and you can register for that on Eventbrite. The link will also be in the chat. At the end of today's talk, we will ask you to fill out a short online survey, which greatly helps with our grant funding for this free series. So when I put the link in the chat at the end of the talk, please just take a moment to give us your thoughts. I'll also be sending out an email later with the handout and the video link, as well as that survey link once more. So without further ado, let me introduce our topic, conflict resolution as a tool for personal expansion. And our speaker, Miss Paula Thomas, is a communications professional, writer, yoga teacher, and student of spiritual evolution. She has spent the past several years studying and working with spiritual teachers and, more recently, political strategists who are about using language, listening, and compassionate inquiry to find pathways to peace and self-awareness in everyday encounters. Doing this work is about promoting deeper, more meaningful, and heartfelt relationships. Take it away, Paula.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. This talk is going to be conflict resolution as a tool for personal expansion. And I want to just let you know that this is going to be a bit interactive, that if I do ask for any questions or input, I hope that you may be willing to just unmute and ask a question or put something in the chat. And I do have a little practice for us to do as well in order to show you or let you experience what it is to come from a heart-centered space. Because this using conflict as a tool for personal expansion has to do with learning to lead with the heart when you're moving through a difficult situation. And learning to lead with the heart is also about connecting in with your deepest feelings, your deepest desires, and your search for a peaceful resolution. Conflict serves as a reason to explore beliefs and premises more deeply with other people. Every conflict presents a chance for us to learn and to grow. And it creates this opportunity by you're asking for reconciliation, for explanations, or another chance at communication and connection. And in order to go down this road, you have to be willing to feel a little uncomfortable. And you also kind of need to acknowledge that the process is going to require increased self-awareness on your part. So there's a high degree of sort of self-management and alignment and calm and peace that you need to adopt as your approach to a difficult situation, whether it's with somebody at work, whether it's with a spouse, a relative, a son, a daughter, or any loved one or friend. When you're in conflict, it means that you were seeking a feeling about something and that feeling didn't arise. You didn't get that feeling. And it could be you had an argument with your son and he was like spitting vitriol at you and you feel like you're more distant from him than ever before. So you don't have that loving connection that you were looking for. It could be that, you were throwing a surprise you made a surprise brunch for your family and you went to all this effort to cook and you're rolling it out on Sunday morning and they don't want your family is like not into it. They really are just not excited about it. They didn't even want to be home. One of your kids wants to go out or be somewhere else. And so your feeling of cooking and having this wonderful family brunch together isn't what materialized as you rolled this thing out. So the conflict is about not having the feeling that you were looking for. So, how will you benefit from shifting the outcome of every encounter by coming from the heart? And I just have these little bullet points here that I want to read out to you. You'll be able to break the patterns in your conversation when you're coming from the heart and not the head. You'll be able to share more. Naturally, you share more from your feelings and not from the situation. Not only that, but when you're coming from the heart and not passing judgment, you'll be able to see the other person more clearly. Maybe you'd be able to see, oh my goodness, this person is in pain, or they're suffering. Something happened to them, and I probably don't know anything about it, but they're directing their anger at me, and I have nothing to do with this. You may also see what limitations they have in expressing themselves, or maybe they don't have courage to talk about their own feelings because they're too afraid. You may also be able to see where they're stuck emotionally. And that's just because you're coming from the heart and not the head. And you sort of sense and intuit these things when you yourself are coming from another place of sort of love and compassion and anchored in a desire for peace. It changes the way you see the situation. You may realize that what the other person believes and understands is completely different from what you do, which is going to prompt some other questions on your part. May also be able to see how they've connected the dots in their world. Like they may have perceived a situation that's so different from what you understand it, but you're not going to be able to see that if you're not coming from a place of compassion. So how do you navigate the conflict? How do you navigate conversations like this? How do you navigate relationships? You get yourself prepped by getting cool, by getting calm and collected before you even start. And to do that, you have to turn into the physical body before and during the conversation as you go along. So you're paying attention along the way to your heart rate, your breathing, your gut, like where you start feeling emotional upset, and your throat, which is the ability to stay open and use your voice. So these are common places where we start feeling contracted and stuck and resistant when we're in difficult conversations. And as you're moving through a difficult conversation, if you tune into where in your body you're starting to feel constricted, you can adjust that by using your breath, by taking a pause, by by asking for a break, whatever, to keep yourself in that cool, calm, and collected state. So why? So you can stay securely in a zone of complete authenticity. Like you're not going to get triggered by someone else's energy. You're going to stay true to your heart's desire and what you really want to say. I have to go to the next. There we go. Okay. So One of the ways you do that is by setting your intention, by keeping your eye on the prize. The prize is to seek it. Your prize is not, I want to win this argument. I want to persuade him that he's wrong. I want to make sure that he listens to me in the future. No. The prize is to seek a deeper understanding and a stronger connection with the person that you're working with. And to do that, you hold on to the courage to move above your anger, grief, upset, sadness, your pain, your disgust, whatever it is. And your willingness to take agency for yourself to create a new reality. So the thing is, you are doing all the work here. To be in total integrity, no conversation will yield a new outcome if you are not full of honesty, humility, and a willingness to bend and bend and bend and let go of what you believe to be true, what you thought to be true, what stories you made up about what someone else felt about something in the past. Like all that stuff becomes the cloud which prevents you from seeing the person that you're dealing with more clearly. So I did prepare a visualization for you that I want to take you through as an example of how you can prepare yourself for a difficult situation or different conversation. And you will naturally come up with compassionate responses and ask more meaningful questions if you're in the space that I'm going to take you into. You'll have mutual understanding and deepening by the questions you ask, using the language of feeling and emotion versus thinking and rationalizing. Right? So when you're in this space, your heart space, what you ask, how you frame language, how you frame your questions, is going to be different because you're not coming from a place of logic. You're not coming from a place of fact. You're coming from a place of feeling and seeking understanding, right? So you don't know all the answers. So as soon as you say, I want you to, I don't like it when, I was bothered by, you're in sort of the language of judgment, of force, and negativity. And when you feel yourself talking that way, you can also maybe notice that there's heavy energy there. Whereas heartfelt energy is light and expansive and optimistic and a little bit more intuitive and a little bit more appealing. So when you're feeling triggered, angry, unnerved, and bothered, all that heavy negative energy, burdensome stuff is going to pull the conversation down to an argument, to bickering, to the he said, she said level really quickly. And that's what you want to avoid. That is not personal growth. That is bickering and low vibration, traumatizing, negative relationship building, right? So to understand that as you're in the process is really important. So the visualization practice, what is it? It's a way for you to reorient your body energy into the heart space, to reclaim your feelings of being a loving and loved human being who has infinite capabilities and possibilities and also can be free of filters and biases and the baggage you carry around from the past so that you can see a situation more clearly. So if you'll indulge me, I'd like to take you through this guided visualization, and I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, to really sit down in the chair that you're sitting in really comfortably. Put your feet on the floor. Take a deep breath in through your nose and gently exhale through your mouth. Take another deep breath in and just feel where the breath is going into your body. And gently exhale through the mouth. Take another deep breath in Just maybe a little deeper this time. You're just letting the breath expand your body, and as you exhale, just let it all go. Imagine you're in a beautiful forest of pine and cedar trees. The smell is sweet and spicy, and the sun is shining overhead with the dappled light making its way through the forest and making the forest feel magnificent, embracing, safe, and warm. You're on a trail and come to a clearing with a bench in the middle of it. You slowly walk toward the bench and sit down, lifting your chin to the sky and taking in the warmth and the scent of the forest. As you sit there, a warm feeling moves through you as though the sun is beaming through every cell of your body and bringing you into the light of peace, of tranquility, of beauty, and sweetness and expansion. You're completely at ease, completely content, immersed in the quiet and stillness and freshness of the forest. And as you sit there on the bench, you start to feel the weight of your body on the bench, and you start to feel your feet, and they're solidly on the ground. And as you breathe in, let the breath fill your whole body. And as you breathe out, feel your exhale, just grounding your body into the bench and your feet rooting into the ground as though you have roots that are going down through the ground and deep into the earth. Breathe in again, feeling the body expanding and lifting into the light. And as you exhale, imagine the roots going deeper and deeper into the earth. You are grounding yourself into your own divine presence, filling yourself with breath and light and the natural expansion that is love and peace and harmony. Allow yourself for a few breaths to feel that beautiful fullness. This is the essence of you as a soul and a being on this earth. And now, very slowly, I invite you to bring both hands to your heart and feel the love from your heart. Feel the presence of love and the sacredness of the heart space. Breathe into your heart as though you were expanding your love into the space around you. Breathe in again. And as you exhale, gently open your arms out to the side as though you're expanding that love from your heart into the space around you. And now relax your hands down. So this is what it is to lead with the heart, as though you can start off a conversation by putting your hand on your heart and opening out to the side, like, I'm going to lead with my heart. And my heart's going to inform the words that I use, the language that I state, the feelings that I have. I'm going to stay open. I'm going to stay grounded, and I'm going to stay expanded through whatever where this conversation will take me. So to feel into the magic and love of the heart space is the key to navigating through conflict, as though you're expanding your love into the space around you and disagreement and experiencing personal growth in the process. So you're key to navigating through conflict and disagreement, right? To stay in this open space, because what you're looking for is a feeling of peace and harmony, right? That's why there's a conflict, because you're not feeling the love that you're seeking or the love that you want back, the love you want to give. And in order to get that, it's from this place that you have to stay. Okay. Any questions about that? How does everybody feel? Anybody feel different now from just that visualization? Okay. Anybody want to put anything in the chat? I can't see the chat right now, actually.
We have feeling grounded and open. Thank you. And another one, a little more relaxed.
Wonderful. So this next slide kind of repeats what I just said in terms of leading with the heart and seeking connection. And when you're in this space, you're just not going to be inclined to attack and insult or criticize someone else. You're not going to sit in judgment. You're going to ask questions and see if you can get more information. So the heart focuses on connection, love, and resolution. Okay. And then there are some from a like a cognitive standpoint, there are some principles that you're that I offer that you want to adhere to. And one is to be impeccable with your word. Another is to speak with fearless authenticity. So you're going to want to use language like, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I wonder if you can just explain something because it's not what I understood. Um, I'm feeling like you're mad at me and I don't know why. Can you tell me why? So the fearless authenticity is being open with your own feelings, your own sense of what's going on in the situation that has nothing to do with the actual situation or what you thought about the situation or what the story is behind the situation. It's your honest, open, oh my God, I don't want this to be like this. How can I make it better? And it's not that you're asking the other person to make it better. You're willing to do the work in order to grow and expand and deepen your understanding. And that's why this is about conflict resolution for personal growth. And to be impeccable with your word, I just wonder if anybody is familiar with the work of Daniel Miguel Ruiz and the book, The Four Agreements. Has anybody ever heard of the Four Agreements? Because one of the four agreements, and the first one is to be impeccable with your word. And I'm going to read a little bit about what he has to say about that so you're really clear about what that is. Being impeccable with your word means using your energy in the direction of truth and love for yourself. If I see you in the street and I call you stupid, it appears that I'm using the word against you. But really, I'm using my word against myself because you're going to hate me, and your hating me is not good for me. Therefore, if I get angry and with my word, I send that emotional poison to you, like if I tell you you're stupid, I'm using that word against myself. So if you are angry with the word, you send emotional poison to another person. What are you doing? You're using your word against yourself. And that's exactly the opposite of coming from a place of love. So interrupting your anger, your fear, your desire to exert power, your impulse to punish, to teach a lesson through the infliction of pain, you can do that interruption by shifting your attention from the thoughts in your head to what's in the heart. Literally, you can stop any mental aggression, anger, vengeance thoughts, anything punitive by placing your hand on your heart and asking your heart what it really wants. And to do this, you soften down if you truly, madly, deeply want to build connection versus not deepen a rift between another person. Your deep desire for resolution will include language like, I'm sorry you feel that way. I wish it was different. I never meant to hurt you. I feel such a distance between us and it pains me. And I know it's because there are things that I don't understand or that I don't know. This is you taking responsibility for your part and your part only. And if you do that, it serves the purpose of opening up avenues of sharing because the person you're talking to will not feel so defensive, will not feel accused, They may even feel encouraged to open up about their own pain and dissolution. So paying attention to what's in your heart and what your deepest desire is will change the game. And usually, we're all human. We really just desire to love and be loved in return. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay. So moving on, you're taking responsibility for any misunderstanding. You fearlessly forgive and apologize. It's you're taking complete ownership of what it is that you may have contributed. And if someone tells you, well, you did this, you can say, I'm sorry, I didn't intend for that. And this is all disarming and it's all disarming and breaking down someone else's defensiveness, which is a very typical response to people who are in uncomfortable conversations, and to um, outline the ways in which people can behave in a conflict situation. I encourage you to look into the Four Horsemen. You can just Google the Four Horsemen, and it's a whole theory of relationship communication that was offered by the Gottman Institute. They've done decades and decades of research on relationships. They have marvelous information about how to deal with people who are defensive or criticism. But the Four Horsemen are these four ways in which people respond to discomfort in conversations. They get defensive. They go into criticism. They feel contempt, like they're in complete disrespect for you and who you are and what you want to be saying. Or they stonewall, which is to say they completely shut down and don't give you the time of day. And one of the keys to whether or not you have you can come to hopeful resolution in conversation is if, you can deal with defensiveness, criticism, stonewalling is tough, but contempt, if someone holds you in contempt, if you go back to the writings and the research from the Gottman Institute, there's a sense that there may not be longevity in the relationship because there's too much deterioration in the relationship to begin with. But I bring up the Four Horsemen to give you an idea of what to expect when you're moving into difficult conversations, because you need to be prepared for how to deal with someone's defensiveness or how to deal with criticism. And we know this from our politics right now. Not that I want to diverge into politics, but this is what the rhetoric is out there in the political world. Nobody's taking responsibility for what's going on one side of our politics. The game is to deny, attack, criticize, and stonewall. And it's very difficult to deal with those situations, but that's what's going on. And when you know that, then you find your own ways to work around. Okay. This is another example called the smart politics story. Back to what in my introduction, um, you may know that I was interested in political rhetoric and of what to do and how to respond in situations where you're being attacked, or you need to de-escalate a situation. This is a story about a way a comedian responded to an attack on social media, just to give you an idea about how being heart-centered and compassionate for another person can lead to completely unexpected outcomes. Okay, here's the little story. I'm going to read through this quickly. In 2017, comedian Sarah Silverman did something remarkable. After a stranger on Twitter called her a cunt because of one of her political posts, she didn't fire back. She didn't ignore him either. Instead, she looked at his profile. As she looked in, she saw a man who was in pain, and she replied with a note of compassion. She wrote back, "I believe in you. I read your timeline, and I see what you're doing. And your rage is thinly veiled pain. But I know that. I know this feeling because, my back also hurts me. She didn't say it that way, but she said, my back effing sucks too. So in response, this troll who had called her a cunt just let down his guard and explained his pain. He said, I can't choose love. A man that resembles Kevin Spacey took that away when I was 8. I cannot find peace. If I could find that guy who ripped my body, who stripped my innocence, I'd kill him. He fucked me and I'm poor, so it's hard to get help. So the woman, Sarah, didn't flinch. She asked if he was using heroin. She encouraged him to get clean, and she talked about the pitfalls of self-punishment. This is going back to be impeccable with your word. She said, even if you could kill him, it's punishing yourself. Like, you deserve support. So she suggested a support group where he might meet his best bros. And by the end of this exchange, the troll agreed to seek help. He admitted that he was antisocial, he had no friends, and was lonely. And Silverman responded with this, hey, I'm so psyched you'll go. Please keep me posted. Don't give up on yourself. She then called on her followers. I mean, she had a big following. She then called on her followers for help. And lo and behold, there was a spinal clinic in San Antonio near where this guy's lived, and he offered the man some treatment. He said, send this guy to us. We'll give him some treatment. The exchange became an internet sensation, not because Sarah Silverman defeated a troll, but because she modeled how compassion can transform hostility into connection. And this has been one example of how to use conflict to build connection. Someone calls you a name, you know they are in pain. Something is bothering them that has, in many cases, nothing to do with you. It's unprocessed pain and suffering that they project onto you or someone else. Not only that, but by name calling and being hostile, they're also pushing people away when truly what they really need is connection, compassion, and assistance. So note that in this story, Sarah tells the guy that if he kills the other person that did what he was doing, he's just punishing himself, and he deserves the opposite, which is support. So this is where we as beings that compassion, we always have the opportunity to flip the scale, to flip the dialogue, to flip the narrative, and change from conflict to something much more healthful, supportive. And all it takes is being willing to lead with the heart and understanding what your heart is telling you. Now, just to repeat a little bit about what I said, hold on just a second. Neutral. So in order to stay here, you have to stay in a neutral ground and listen to what the person is saying, not make a story about, what's going on with them, but just deal with facts, deal with what you know to be true. So, and you stay grounded in the body, like you stay aware of your breath. If you're getting triggered and you're getting upset, like if somebody called me a cunt, he may be, no, you just okay, how do I want to deal with this? Your mind may be saying, oh, no, you got to attack him. That's monkey mind chatter. Like, your mind's going to always respond in some way with ways to defend yourself, ways to attack the other person. And that is just like the ego in us protecting ourselves. But that is not heart-centered response. So the monkey mind chatter is something that you need to recognize, and to get out of it, you stay focused on the goal, to deepen your connection, to allow space for feelings to emerge, to put your hand on your heart, open out, lead with the heart. What do I want to say here that's honest, that can build trust, and that can support vulnerability on both parties? And in this way, you don't contribute to the toxicity. And one of the things that I learned from a teacher I had many years ago is, you surf the limbic system, right? Your feelings and your emotions, your fears, your anxieties, your stress, whatever, is all going to affect the mind chatter, and all the monkey mind chatter is being fed by the amygdala. And if you can use the breath, You use your groundedness, you use this visualization, let me feel my feet on the floor in this moment. I'm grounded, I'm steady, I'm solid, I'm a mountain. The mountain doesn't flinch in the wind or the rain or the tornadoes or the landslides. The mountain just stays the mountain. The other thing that's important about this is that you can use your anxiety to your own advantage in the sense that if you're starting to get uncomfortable, you can say to the other person, hey, you know what? I'm nervous about sharing this, or I'm a little afraid about how you may think of this, but this is what I want to share. And you use the language of encouragement, compassion, and questioning. And again, I think that I'm repeating myself here a little bit, but your your heartfelt language, the language of the heart is I understand why you might feel that way. Or you're going to ask, wow, you have that conclusion, but how did you arrive in that conclusion? Like, I'm wondering what made you think this? Because you really want to get to know where the other person's coming from in a soft, encouraging way. And your if your desire to build the connection is what's going to keep you in this space of heart-centered language. This is where your personal growth comes in because you are shutting down your mind chatter and all the ways in which you want to respond to defend yourself and all the ways you may want to criticize. No, you're holding space for truth and authenticity. Um, okay, next slide is staying in your power. So to stay in your power, I kind of hinted at this too. You're going to root your feet into the floor, fully embrace the situation that you're in with all of its flaws. Life is an experiment, and difficult situations are kind of like a roller coaster ride because you do not know how they're going to go, and do not know what energies are going to flow in your direction. And to be honest, the conversations really are all about an exchange of energy. Words have energy for them, but the energy, but the feelings behind what people say is the energy that comes at you. And your job is to um, stay in your own power, stay in your space, and don't be pulled out of yourself by someone else's forceful energy, even if they're attacking you. And to do that, you own your own role. You take radical ownership of who you are and what you may have contributed, and you don't take on any blame from anybody else. And you don't take shame from anybody else either. So you have to be really strong in that awareness when someone's trying to, you know, push you down or push you over or drag you to the floor, proverbially. Um, so detach from events from the past and stories about them. Events have only the meaning that we assign to them. And this is a little bit of a non sequitur, and I apologize for that. But sometimes in conversations, you're still seeing the person based on what they did or said, 2 years ago. Or maybe it's your husband who watches too much TV and you're trying to talk to him and he doesn't want to talk to you. And all you think about is the stories behind, oh, he watches TV. He's not interested in this relationship. He just is withdrawn. He's this and this. That's your story about what his behavior is. And so when you're engaging with people, you want to just stick to the facts. And when you're talking to them about something, I see that you watch a lot of TV and there's not time for us to have a conversation. And that's it. You're just stating what you observe, but not making up your own story about why. And we do tend to do that. So this is another important piece of being authentic, being really clear, and being compassionate. You're just staying with what you've observed and pushing aside all your ways in which you think you know what's going on because you don't. And then I have as an example of another kind of conversation, a clip from the movie From Hell or High Water. And the audio is not great on this, so I want to take a moment or two to explain what this movie is about so you can understand. From Hell or High Water is a story about a man who he's been living in a cycle of poverty in his life. He's married, he has two kids, he's living on a ranch in Texas, and he owes money to the bank. And unless he pays the bank back, he's going to lose the house, and he's going to lose the ability to leave a legacy for his kids. He's also already divorced from his wife, and all he cares about is taking care of his children. Now, in order for him to pay the bank back, he needs money, and he doesn't have enough. And he engages with his brother, who is a crook and a criminal and a ne'er-do-well, and they go on a bank robbing spree in the local area to rob the banks to get the money so he can pay his loan back or the mortgage or whatever it is. And this character's name is Toby. Toby's the one who wants to leave a legacy for his family. He has never hurt anybody. His brother does all the dirty work, but he's the one who wants to pay the loan back. Now, the antagonists in this story are two sheriffs, one played by Jeff Bridges and then his partner. And those two sheriffs know that there's bank robberies going on in their town, and they're hell-bent on bringing these guys to justice. And at the very end of the movie, there is a shootout, and it happens that in the shootout, the brother kills Jeff Bridges' partner, and Jeff Bridges, so upset and so angry, ends up being able to kill the brother. So we have one partner dead, one brother dead, and at the end of the movie, what's left is this one sheriff who's now forced into, he was the end of his tenure, so he's forced into retirement, and he's coming to meet the brother who's paid back the loan, who never killed anybody, but was definitely involved in the bank robberies. Okay, so here we go. See if I can get this to play. And Shelby, I may need your help on this. Maybe not.
Who I know?
So the sheriff says, "You know who I am?
The man who killed your brother.
I'm the man who killed your brother." And he says, "I know. Mind if I sit?" he says. He goes, "Go ahead." So now they sit on the porch.
One man protecting the only thing that is his own is this land and his family.
So here's explaining.
Not this man taken away from him. And a man trying to be righteous and do right by his friend.
I think at the very end of the movie, he's still suffering from the loss of Rodriguez, his partner, in the same way that Toby will be suffering the loss of his brother.
Better be done with this.
Ready to be done with it.
No matter what.
No, it's not going to happen. It's going to haunt you for the rest of your life.
Wouldn't you stand by, maybe I'll give you peace.
He says, "Stop by. Maybe I'll give you some peace." And he says, "Well, maybe I'll give it to you."
Last lines of the film are some of my two favorite lines. Man, it's just so cowboy. It's so, it's not angry, it's not mean. It's the kind of tragic, sad acceptance of reality. And this is the only way it could have been.
I really want to put you in a situation where you're unsure who you want to win and still be conflicted at the end. And you realize that no one left from this unscathed. No one won anything.
Yeah. So,
Who I know.
all right, I'm going to stop that. So I love this. I love this scene. And why I played it for you is because the guys got together. They know they have animus toward one another, but they know they're in untenable situations, and yet they agree to talk, to sit down, to get clear on what's going on. You know, one of them killed his brother. The other one knows that, hey, he's a crook and he really should be in jail for what he did, but he understands, hey, I did this for my family. I wanted to leave a legacy for my kids. And he does. He ends up, you know, there's oil on his land, and he paid the bank back, and now his kids have wealth from the oil that's being drilled on their territory. And they acknowledge that they're going to be haunted by this whole episode for the rest of their lives. And yet they say, "Stop by. Maybe I'll give you some peace." And the other guy says, "Yeah, well, you know, maybe I'll give it to you." So anyway, and that's kind of the essence of what this talk is about. Like, hey, life is tough, life is hard. I want to seek connection. Terrible things have happened, and yet there's still some humanity. And you can find that. And this is an extreme example. Most of the things that we deal with day to day in relationships are not quite as fraught. They don't involve death and, killing and murders and whatever. So as we deal with this, the perspective of things, yeah, you work through discomfort. You work through things with some, a calm and a sense of peace. And what can we make of this situation? Does anybody have any comments, feelings that they want to share about that? All right. Okay. Whoops, 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 whoops. So I have this slide about benefits of staying heart-centered, which you probably already, so I'll skip that. The other thing that a principle here is about polishing your stone. Imagine that you use conflict as a way to rub against another person so that you can improve yourself and they can improve themselves. So it's not a negative thing. To go into discomfort is like the opportunity always to polish your stone and become a better person as a result of tension and conflict. And what a beautiful idea, what a beautiful thought. And I want you to, I put that forth in a way that maybe you'll think differently about what's the value of going into conflict, or maybe you'll be more encouraged to go into conflict. And you keep focused on the shared purpose of the conversation to connect, to love more deeply, to become a fuller, more compassionate person. And you stay in connection wherever it leads, right? These guys in this clip didn't know where to go. And they say, well, maybe, come by my apartment. Maybe I'll be able to give you some peace. Who knew that they were going to be willing to, be friends and keep their conversation going? And you want to always say things like, tell me more. What else is bothering you? Let me know what you're feeling. So this slide is all about, things that you can do to prepare yourself in addition to the guided visualization. There's meditation, there's the guided visualization, there's self-awareness practices, there's breath work, understanding your intention. And again, when you're going into a difficult conversation, you want to prepare yourself from the heart, but your intention is to build a connection. What can I learn more about myself and this person as a result of having this a tense conversation? And if you're looking for that, you will find it. And it's important in terms of staying in authenticity, which is another point I made, to say what you mean always, to mean what you say, to do what you say, and to say what you do. And that's all the ways that you stay in integrity with your word. I know the next month there's going to be a presentation about your word. Your word is the strongest tool that you have. Your word makes the difference in win, lose, gain, loss, fight, flight, fee, whatever. Your word is everything. So you want to be impeccable with your word. And then lastly, let's see what else I have here. Oh, so hold space for expansion. This is another sort of metaphysical principle here, that your job is to hold space for a larger, expanded conversation, recognizing that you're coming from a place of love, you're coming from a place of desiring connection, and you're kind of trying to connect with your inner light. Just like that visualization where you're on the bench and the light's shining down and you are the light, you are expanding light. Anything is possible. If you stay in the light and you stay in a sense of expansion, here's what's going to happen. You'll access your intuition more. You'll be out of your head into your heart, where your feelings and what you intuit about something. Things may spill out of your mouth that you don't even know where that came from, but it's your intuition talking, because you can access that. And you're leading with the heart as you form your words. So it's not going to be accusations. It's going to be question. Wow, I didn't know you felt that way. I'm wondering, can you tell me more? There must be a reason why you're saying that. I don't understand. So the more you seek expansion and connection, the more you will learn about yourself and others. And finally, lead with the heart. Let the person know you love them no matter what. Love them for who they are and see only love. And with that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention. Does anybody
Thank
have
you,
any
Paula. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So that's all. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Just thank you. I think, we forget that heartfelt and really coming from the place of heart. I do something when it's from conscious discipline, but wishing people well, and from that heart space, and just really wishing them well. When we are in conflict, even if from a distance, even if I'm not, there. But and I love the polishing your stone, because I think that's the hardest thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And the thing about living is that, the world's a rough place. It really is. And we all are seeking love and attention and affection and love and attention. We want to be loved and loved, and that makes our life meaningful. And yet, we don't get to higher and higher states of happiness and lovingness without doing the polishing the stone part of it. It takes work and it takes a little bit of discomfort to get there. And I think why I wanted to give this talk is that each of us has agency in order to decide how we're going to polish our stones. And we're doing that in a way that has a good intention in the sense of building connection with other people and being willing to work through conflict, work through disagreements. And if you think about conflict simply as you didn't get the feeling that you wanted, um, then it leaves you to asking certain questions about what did I miss? What didn't I communicate? One quick story. I was listening to something yesterday where the woman that she does work like this, and she said, I was really upset because I prepared this beautiful dinner for my husband and he was late coming home. And it's like it just totally wrecked my whole plan. Like I didn't know he was going to be late. And I realized that the dinner was cold by the time he got home, but he didn't let me know that he was coming home late. So as part of the resolution, I asked him to please, could you let me know if you're going to be late? And then I didn't tell him that I was cooking up something. I wanted to surprise him, but I didn't let him know that there was a special dinner that I was preparing. So he had no way of knowing. And that's my ownership of the situation. That's why I didn't get the result that I wanted, because I didn't do my part in communicating. And this is what I'm talking about with sort of, self-inquiry and self-awareness and taking responsibility for yourself. And I didn't cover a lot of this stuff, but I had a handout. In the handouts, I talk about some of these things, and I offer that up as a resource guide for each of you to just, you know, keep around and look at every once in a while to give you tools of things to say and different approaches and different ways that you can learn to take radical ownership for your own behavior. And to your point about Lana, I think it was Lani, about positivity, like one person's heartfelt positivity can overcome 70,000 people's negativity. I've heard that statistic a number of times, and it sort of comes out of the, like, just, I don't know if people do energy research or whatever, but the power of positivity is much greater than negativity. And if we can strengthen our positivity muscle and strengthen our heart muscle, we'll make the world a much better place, and also our relationships.
Mahalo, Paula. Thank you so much for that. Do we have any other questions for Miss Paula on her wonderful presentation on leading and speaking from the heart?
I
Okay.
put my question on chat. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay, let's see here. So if you're in a meeting and someone of authority insults and attacks you, how do you respond?
Oh, that is a great question. And the thing is, that it's a different kind of setting because now it's a group. And one of the ways to deal with that is not in the moment in the group. But first off, one of the things you need to realize is that the person who is insulting you, it's his or her baggage, it's his or her problem, and it's his or her way of asserting authority over you. So they're intentionally trying to demean you. And this is where, when you're impeccable with your word, what's he doing? He or she is actually punishing himself because that's an embarrassing thing to do. For everybody else is going to feel uncomfortable in the room, and that person is showing his or her colors. So it's not about you. Your job is to not take that insult in personally. That for whatever reason, that person wanted to assert their authority over you. So the first thing is to allow yourself to detach from the pain that you feel and not blame the other person, but understand it's their problem. And then after the meeting, you can one-on-one decide if you want to address that with the other person and let them know, let them know that you thought that maybe that was inappropriate, or you wanted to know what the reason that they did that publicly, what were they trying to achieve? And that's a way to ask questions, like go from your heart, what questions you want to ask that person if you want to continue a conversation. And you can choose not to too. You just know that, hey, this person is not my friend. He's a bit of an antagonistic force. How do I want to handle that? So I wouldn't, again, you don't address it in the meeting. That person is signaling their animus towards not you, but towards the situation, and they're having some kind of insecurity about their own authority, and that's how they're dealing with it. And so you recognize the weakness that they have, and then decide what you're going to do for yourself. And you could go to the HR and register a complaint. You could address it with the person if you want. I wouldn't necessarily talk to other staff members about it because unless they talk to you, but that's not going to resolve the situation, Does that help?
Yes, very much. That what I did. I just ignored it, because I practiced Buddhism, and one of the Buddhist monks said, if anyone throw anything in front of you, to just move away so it won't get into your face. So that's why I thought that I just want to see how you feel about it. Thank you so much. It exactly is a correct way to do it, and I'm glad that I did it that way that you just recommended. I let it go.
I am too. That's wonderful. And by the way, that just brings up the point that there are a lot of people in positions of power who are completely emotionally, they're not emotionally intelligent. They've never really trained on how to deal with staff, and they say things that are just, unnecessarily hurtful and whatever. And don't take that stuff personally. It's just a reflection of how they need to continue to grow themselves and how to really more responsibly handle situations and handle conflict.
Thank you very much. That is very good to confirm. Thank you, Paula.
Of course. Once again, thank you all for being here. I've talked more than I thought I would, but I'm so grateful for your presence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Aloha, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you all for coming today. As a reminder, please just take a few minutes to fill out our short survey online. That'll be in the chat. These surveys greatly help with our grant funding for this free series. And I'll also be emailing you in the coming days here with the slides, a beautiful handout, the video link, and again, that survey link. So mahalo, and we'll see you all next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.